Yeah, it's Week Cake in here. I got a great video today. It's the best time of the year right now. I'm hyped. I'm caked up. I'm feeling good. New addition to the family's feeling good. That's my new gecko. Hey! We're feeling good. We're excited for this Stanley Cup playoff season to start. So first we got Nashville versus Dallas. This is probably in my opinion, going to be one of the most boring matchups in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Based on the fact that Dallas is one of the wild card teams, they didn't exactly show people that they are a team that we can expect to win. They didn't exactly have a lot of pizzazz this season. So the Stars this year, halfway through the season, some sort of Stars management went off on the Stars, I guess, their best players, and basically said they're trash, they're poop, they can't compete, they're not competing at the level that they should be competing at for the amount of money that they're getting paid right now. So the Stars are facing off against the Nashville Predators. 2 years ago, competed in the Stanley Cup final against the Pittsburgh. Gosh, hey Nashville, how's that banner look? Nashville, of course, like I said, made it to the Stanley Cup final 2 years ago. They have a solid defense, the best defense in the NHL. I think it's unique seeing a team that has a strong defense. When it comes to Nashville versus Dallas, I think Nashville will be able to grind out the Dallas Stars. I don't think the Stars have that consistency. I don't think they have that urgency. And I just don't think they have the skill and talent developed yet to be able to get past the Nashville Predators. I can see Nashville taking this in a 6-2 victory over the Stars. I think the Stars might get a couple of lucky bounces. I think 6-2. So the next matchup is my Winnipeg Jets against the St. Louis Blues. Now this is going to be an interesting matchup. I didn't know where to throw the hat. This is going to be an interesting matchup. So both teams have had interesting dips in their season where their stars, so to say, have not been reliable. Winnipeg, they had the Patrick Laine slump. Let's be honest, or at least in my opinion, I don't think it's a slump that's going to last long. I think it's something that the NHL, the organization, fans are blowing out of proportion. A player of his caliber, I feel like, can easily bounce back. There is that magic about the playoffs. That magic of winning that first game, knowing that you are that much closer to holding the Stanley Cup over your head. One win brings you that much closer to a Stanley Cup. The taste of victory in the Stanley Cup playoffs it's a drug. It's a drug because once players get a taste of that victory, they don't want to let go of it at all. They want to keep steamrolling. Biggest example last year is the Golden Knights. Point taken. Case should be taken. That doesn't make any sense, but take my point. Then we got the St. Louis Blues. The team that I believe around January was at the bottom of the entire NHL. Since then, they have had a home run derby of wins. They've won a lot of games since then. And they got into these playoffs kind of like a ninja. But at the same time, people are watching them. I mean, I believe it's Binnington that's just, wow. I mean, I'd clap, but I got a new family member in my hand, so I can't clap. But I would clap to your performance, Binnington. That is impressive. As far as the series goes, I don't think the Jets are ready for the Blues. I think the Jets were riding a high last year going into those playoffs. Do I think that the Jets have a good chance? Of course I think the Jets have a good chance. I think that the Blues are riding a wave right now, and I think it's going to be they're going to have to run into a brick wall to stop the Blues from doing well in these Stanley Cup playoffs. I can see the Blues taking this series 5-1. Now we're getting into some fun stuff. This is an exciting series. Calgary versus Colorado. The Flames versus the Avalanche. Fire versus ice. What a battle. So you got Calgary, a team with fantastic skaters that can move a puck, that can set a puck, the forecheck, the back check, everything on Calgary spits high-powered offense, yet balanced offense. The offense on Calgary can make plays happen where you didn't think they existed. They can make goals come up out of nowhere. It's ridiculous how Calgary can move the puck at the pace and speed and overall confidence in which they move the puck. So I think Calgary has a tremendous shot. Now, we got the Avalanche, Colorado Avalanche on the other side. So the Avalanche did edge out the Coyotes. The Avalanche, they have that tremendous first line of just powerhouse scoring players that, I mean, it's a scary lineup when you're going up against them. The that Colorado has is on that first line, and you can definitely see the steep cliff drop-off in performance that comes in the second, third, and fourth line. It's something to worry about. Philip Grubauer is playing fantastic hockey. What a keeper. He'll be excited if he can repeat as a Stanley Cup champion with the Colorado Avalanche. But as far as my analytics go, as far as my prediction of who will win the Stanley Cup final, I can see that the Calgary Flames are probably going to take this. I can actually see it going 7 games just because I can see the Avalanche grinding them to a halt. So I can see the Avalanche beating them as far. Now, one of the most exciting matchups. One of the matchups that is going to create a rivalry and a bitter hatred for years to come. In hockey, we like that. We like when people don't like each other. It's kind of weird. The Golden Knights of Las Vegas and we have the Sharks of San Jose facing off. Now, last year, didn't go so well for the Sharks. This year, they added one of the best defensemen in the entire NHL, Erik Karlsson, 65. Don't get me wrong, the Sharks have a lot of talent. I think that Karlsson is a great addition to the Sharks. I just don't think that the Sharks have been able to integrate Karlsson as well as they could have, or maybe the adaptation is going to take maybe a year or two, or maybe a season or two more to develop. But right now, the Sharks are a scary team. They can power on some goals. They're one of those steamrolling teams where they get clicking and there's no stopping the Sharks. But look at Vegas. They are that team that, so to say, has nothing to lose. It's their second season in the league. Yes, they made it to the Stanley Cup final. Yes, the Vegas Golden Knights want to prove to everybody that they are not a fluke. I don't think Vegas is a fluke. They have this weird expansion team playoff high going where no matter what, their stands are always full. Believe it or not, energy is very important in sports. That positive energy, that will, in my mind, this is a little hippie-ish, but I believe that energy festers, and I feel that the players can feel that energy and feed off of it and compete. Everybody else is caking. I'm caking. I'm feeling good. And I know that Vegas is caking beyond belief right now. I know Vegas is going to take it to the Sharks. I can see Vegas winning 5 games, 4-1. I think Vegas is going to feel that energy, feel that power, and I think they're going to dump on the Sharks again. So I'm saying Vegas in 5. 5 games, so of course they need 4 wins. Woo! And now, we go to the East. East this year definitely has the biggest competition, and I can darn near guarantee you that the winner of the 2018-2019 NHL season, the Stanley Cup winner, will be from the East. So the first matchup in the East, this matchup is the matchup that it's the matchup that everybody expects to go very quickly. It's Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. This series is going to be interesting and exciting to watch because you have a team like Tampa Bay. They destroyed the league. They showed every single franchise, every single organization, every single club that they're the best, that they're winning the Stanley Cup, that it's this year, that you're going to watch their wins, that you're going to watch them score goals, and then you, as the opposing team, won't be able to do anything about it because you can't compete with them. The Tampa Bay Lightning should be in their own league. And then we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, a team that's all in this Stanley Cup final. At the trade deadline for the Columbus Blue Jackets, that team did everything in their power, everything, to get all the star power that they possibly could to A, make sure that their star power won't leave, and B, give their fans something to cheer for, and so they won't just be like, oh my gosh, well after this season is a bust, better not get season tickets next year because Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky are going to leave us. So basically what they did is they added Ryan Dzingel, Matt Duchene. The Blue Jackets sold their soul to the devil, traded away all their assets, and went all in for the season, which usually when you're struggling, when you're like the Blue Jackets, when you have that back against the wall scenario, you kind of don't have a choice at this point, especially when with a fan base that has been deprived of success as the Columbus Blue Jackets fan base has been. You got to show them something because you don't want to say in the offseason and you don't want to see all your talent leave and then you're like, well, we're already in a rebuild kind of, and we kind of were barely in the playoffs. As far as this series is going to go, I can either see Tampa Bay sweeping the Columbus Blue Jackets, four wins in a row, of course, or let me throw my twist on this. I can see a reverse sweep by the Blue Jackets, possibly. If the Blue Jackets get one win, I think the momentum is going to shift, and I think the Blue Jackets, just like how Washington beat them last year, they reverse sweeped them, even though the Blue Jackets only had 2 wins last year. I can definitely see the Blue Jackets showing up Tampa Bay if they are able to get just 1 win. I can see the Blue Jackets just taking the series if they can get a win, if they can get that momentum going, feel that energy, and thrive on it. I feel like if the Blue Jackets can harness that, I think the Blue Jackets will have a chance. If they're not quick on that forecheck, I think that the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to absolutely demolish the Blue Jackets. This next series is fun. The Boston Bruins versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is probably one of the most confident series that I can say as far as the NHL playoffs go this year. I can see Boston beating Toronto in 5 games. So I say Boston in 5. Why? I feel that Boston is a lot more balanced. I also feel that Boston has a lot more of a defense and reliable goaltending that is more cohesively working with their defense. But the problem is I feel like they're going to get outscored in the playoffs, especially by a team like Boston. I feel like Boston can outscore them, which will then drain the Maple Leafs of their energy, drain them of their morale, and that is how Boston is going to win. Boston in 5 for that series. So next we have the bunch of jerks, the Carolina Hurricanes, in last year's Stanley Cup championship team, not the Penguins, the Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals versus the Carolina Hurricanes. This is going to be a fun series. This is a series that I think can go either which way. Carolina, they're starved of postseason. I think it's 10 years since the Carolina Hurricanes have been in the playoffs. That is a very, 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 very long time to not be in them playoffs. Very, very long time to not be in them playoffs. The Washington Capitals are a team that is trying to prove to the entire NHL that their last year's win wasn't a fluke. They want to prove that their spot in the NHL, that championship, that Stanley Cup championship that they won, is something that they won with their skill and their talent. They want to show that repeat. They want to show the Pittsburgh Penguins that they can go back-to-back too, that the Pittsburgh Penguins aren't the only team that can go back-to-back. and win a Stanley Cup championship. The Washington Capitals want to prove that they are a team that can be consistent and that can win another championship. Where the Carolina Hurricanes, they're just feeling like they're competitive again. I can definitely see Washington winning this series, but I do think it is a series of momentum. I don't think that can be said for every series, however. I think that if Carolina keeps their heart in the game, their fans are there, if they can buckle down, if their stars produce, Carolina has a chance. But if Carolina isn't on their tip-top game, if they aren't swagging, they're not getting past this first round. Now, Washington, they used to choke a lot in the playoffs every year except for last year, let's be honest. I don't think that they're going to repeat this year. I don't think they're going to make it to the final, so it's going to be before the conference final or older. But I'm excited to see what happens in this series. I'm going to say Washington takes it in 6. The final matchup, the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the New York Islanders. You have a team like the New York Islanders who nobody thought was going to be competitive this year, who nobody thought they'd even make it to the playoffs, who no one knew what was going to happen with their team after their star player, Pajama Boy, left to his hometown team of Toronto. Where then you have the Pittsburgh Penguins. Within the last 3 years, they have won 2 Stanley Cups back-to-back. Best player in the league on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I can see this series going 6 games. Definitely 6 games. The Islanders are excited. The Islanders have that spring to their step right now where they are excited to go. They are excited to play some hockey, to play some playoff hockey, to show other teams that they didn't need their star. If they beat the Penguins, they're beating a team that, like I said, have won 2 Stanley Cups in 3 years. That is a message to the entire league if they can beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. However, I think the Penguins' star power, I think the Penguins' superior goaltending, yeah, I said it, superior goaltending. I believe in Matt Murray. I know Matt Murray's a great goaltender. I know Matt Murray's going to be able to stop a lot of pucks. Grease and Leonard, I know you're fantastic keepers. Might be a little biased, though. But I do see the Penguins taking it just because of their star power, just because of their playoff experience. Of course, the Penguins being the team in the NHL with the most consecutive playoff runs as of right now. I believe it's 12 or 13 playoff runs as far as that's concerned for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think that the Penguins are going deep this year. I think the Penguins might be able to pull in Oilers. They might be able to go back-to-back one more time. And that would be pretty impressive as far as Crosby and the Penguins' stars and just the overall hype of the Penguins. But people would be a little too sick of the Penguins after that. Obviously, if they're winning too much, they kind of become similar to the Golden State Warriors of the NBA or the New England Patriots of the NFL. A team that just wins every season and you're like, all right, I'm sick of this sport. Somebody else win. But I think Penguins will take that in 6. And that's what I do think about for the very first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, that's going to do it for today. This is We Cakin'. I'm having a good time. I'm caked up. I'm feeling good. Geckos are feeling good. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you want to see more of my content, you can always subscribe so that my videos will pop up in your newsfeed. Feel free to comment down below so we can engage in a fun and intellectual discussion about hockey. And thanks for watching this video. You know it's We Cakin'. Let's see what happens in these Stanley Cup playoffs.